Hello everyone. Well, we are going to start this February in the right way. These are 3 books coming out this month that are absolute must-reads, in my opinion. I read all the ARCs, and these 3 are going to blow you away. They're simply fantastic, and we're going to get this horror season started off with a bang. I can guarantee you that. And as a reminder, I have horror books for sale. And if you want to read any of the books you see on your screen, they are only $1 each at the link in the description. But I also want to let you know that instead of buying my slasher comedy novelette called Brookhaven, which is set in a retirement home, and I think you should read it, but you can read it absolutely free. That's right, all you have to do, as you can see on your screen, is download an app called We Inc. You can find that on your Play Store. And then search for the title of my book, Brookhaven, and that's it. And you can read the whole thing, absolutely free. Not going to cost you a dime. And I'd love for you to do that, so be sure to check that out. And don't forget that if you want to help support the channel, you can do so on Patreon. This is starting next month, and we'll see how many people we can get to sign up this month. There is only 1 tier, but in that tier, some of the benefits of that tier, you are going to receive at least 1 free short horror story from me that is exclusive to Patreon. You're going to receive at least 1 exclusive video that is also going to be exclusive to Patreon, where I will get into more depth on some of my book reviews and some things going on in the horror literary community and things like that, and where I will be asking for all my Patreons to give me their input on going ahead further with this channel. And also you get a free e-copy of all of my future books. And all of that is included in your benefits, so be sure to check out that link and check it out. And don't forget to pick up your Read More Horror t-shirt. There are many colors and sizes available, and you can find a link for that in the description as well. All right, let's get started. So the first book I want to talk about today is called Among the Living. This is probably the scariest eco horror novel I've ever read. This takes place on a small island where the permafrost has started to melt. And the premise of this book is based in science, because what happens when the permafrost melts? What things are hidden underneath that permafrost that we are not aware of as human beings? What could be unleashed if that gets exposed to the world? And that's basically the premise of this very effective horror novel, because there's a team that goes in there trying to exploit these areas where global warming and climate change have started to melt this permafrost. And what they do is they sell the location of these areas to the highest bidder, to the companies that bid the highest if they find gems or some kind of precious stones down there. So they're kind of taking advantage of climate change for profit. And then there's another group that has followed them to this island, are aware of what they're doing. And this group are environmental activists who are willing to do just about anything to stop people like this group. By the time that second group gets there, though, this group that's exploiting the climate crisis has already found the cave in the area they want to go. They've already been down there, and we are going to read about what they see down there. But they unleash something into the world. They unleash something that has been down there for probably millions of years that human beings have never been exposed to. And whatever this is going to cause people not only to die, but to change, to turn into these bloodthirsty monsters. And not just humans, but animals that this virus or bacteria or whatever it is that infects the living. And they're going to find out very soon when this thing rises from the cave, and their vehicles are totaled. Now these two groups who are opposed to one another must work together because they have to find their way somehow back across this frozen tundra to that small fishing village in hopes of getting on a boat and getting the hell out of there. But they also want to save the people because they know that this thing is coming for that village, for the people in that village. And it is vicious, it is hungry, and yeah, it wants blood. And it will affect everybody that it touches. And so this is part eco horror, part survival horror as they make their way across this tundra, being hunted by these things, knowing that some of their friends have already died from it and others are infected, and they are acting as this thing acts almost like a parasite. It takes over the body, and its only goal is to kill other things and then have this parasite inhabit the carcass of that thing, if that makes sense. It's very effective. Like I said, the fact that this could actually happen, because under that permafrost that's been there millions of years, there are things. There could be bacteria that are still very much alive. There could be viruses very much alive that we as human beings have never been exposed to, and what kind of effect would that have on us? I mean, look how we handle the coronavirus, right? We've never been exposed to something like that in that large a quantity, and we see what happened there. So this is much, much worse. And it's very effective, it's very bloody, and it's written beautifully. You'll get into it, you'll love it, and I highly recommend it. And of course, there is a pre-order link where you can pick up your copy in the description. I highly recommend it. And next we have Ein Hollow. Ooh, this one, if you think you know everything about the Frankenstein and the monster and the Frankenstein family history and lore, you're going to find out through this book that you probably don't know as much as you think. This is again set on a small little island. Very few people live there, like everybody knows everybody else. just a couple dozen people live on this island because this island is harsh. The conditions are brutal. Living there is very rough and very rustic, and because they're on this island, all year round. And one day a stranger comes to the island, a well-dressed kind of posh gentleman, and he's renting a house that's kind of crumbling and in decay, and nobody knows why, but he comes with a bunch of equipment and trunks, and nobody can figure out what he's doing there. He kind of becomes the gossip and the talk of the town, what this guy is doing there. He's got this house, but he's away from everybody in the main part of the village. And our protagonist, she is going to go work for him, kind of delivering his meals, kind of trying to be helpful in some way to him, and they're going to become friends eventually. But we're going to find out that his name is Frankenstein, and he is there because he has to fulfill a certain promise. He feels like he is cursed, and it seems as if he slowly starts losing his mind when he's trying to figure out what he has to do to fulfill a certain obligation that would help him get rid of this curse. And in the meantime, our protagonist, this woman, she is seeing things out in the open around the island, like a hulking big creature. And if you know the lore of Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster, you kind of know what it is. But still, that doesn't make it any less frightening, because this book takes this bleak, dark, very brutal location. It sets this man who's different from everybody right in the middle of them, where he's performing these things, and what's eventually going to happen when he can no longer control the monster. And yeah, you're going to want to read about that, because nothing good will come out of something like that. And of course, these people are trapped there because they're surrounded by water. Of course, at certain times of the year, they can't just leave in the boats they have because they're not made for that kind of weather. And so the book does get very claustrophobic in the fact that there's only a couple dozen people living there, men, women, and children. Everybody knows each other's business, and this book does a great job in building that atmosphere, what it's like to live on this island. Very bleak, very dark, very terrifying when something happens that's quite an emergency. And then adding this man and what he's working on in that house will slowly be revealed. And it just gives a whole nother dimension to the whole Frankenstein mythos, and I absolutely loved it. I thought this book did that wonderfully. I can never get enough of that stuff where taking something like an old school monster and putting a fresh new twist on it. And this one was absolutely fantastic. And yes, I highly recommend it. And again, there is a pre-order link where you can get your copy in the description. And next we have Our Father's Burden. Oh, this one is a very, very awesome creature feature, basically. But it's got a lot of heart and it's got a lot of soul to it. And it's about a group of young men, and their fathers have all passed away. Most of them, their fathers have committed suicide in one form or another. One of the young men, his father died naturally. But their fathers, when they were younger, all got together every year at the exact same time to go in the woods and go on a camping/hunting trip. Now, some of the guys, they didn't really want to be there even when they were younger, because they didn't understand what was going on in this camping trip. But after their fathers die, one of them, his father leaves him a very cryptic message. Some notes and some letters and something that he's told not to tell anybody else unless the sons all get together and go on that camping trip, and it has to be at this certain time, this certain date, at the same location they were at when they were younger. And so they all get together. They haven't seen each other in years. They were never really close friends when they were younger. They were just kind of forced into this by their fathers. So it's kind of awkward at first, but we're going to start seeing that the things their fathers were hiding, and the true reason why they chose that time of year and that location and for their hunting and camping trip, their fathers are kind of passing what they were doing down to the sons. And it's nothing nice. It's nothing that anybody would want to do. And that's why this book has such a great name, because it's very accurate, Our Father's Burdens. Because these men were not just out there to drink and party and have a good time, get away from their family for a little bit, you know, get out in nature. They had a very specific purpose for going there, and it's not going to take long when these young men get out there to fulfill their father's last wishes that they are going to find out exactly what was going on. And it is crazy. I mean, this creature is horrendous. It is huge. It is unstoppable. There's going to be a lot of blood. There's going to be a lot of gore. Not everybody is going to make it, of course. And when they escape it the first time, they got to run to this cabin, kind of an abandoned cabin in the woods, and try to hang out there. But it is not going to go well for them. Let's just put it that way. And then we're going to slowly reveal, because these guys all have secrets about their fathers that they don't want the others knowing about. But pretty soon all that's going to come to light, and they're going to figure out that what exactly is going on, and it's even more horrific than what they could have imagined. This is a very great story about family and relationships, especially between father and son, and the secrets we carry, along with this awesomely bloody creature feature. I absolutely loved it, and I can't recommend it enough. And again, as always, there's a link in the description where you can pre-order your copy, and you absolutely should. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.